Good evening, Windsor. Coronations are a declaration of our hopes for the future. On entering Westminster Abbey yesterday, were a pledge of service.
Imagine you are standing in front of a giant, old castle with stone walls that are hundreds of years old. Inside that castle, there are secrets, heavy gold crowns, and people who have to make very big choices for the whole world. Usually, these things happen very slowly, like a turtle walking across a garden. But something just happened that was like a lightning bolt hitting the middle of the palace. It was a change so big that it surprised everyone, from the people living in London to people living thousands of miles away. It was not a rumor started by people taking sneaky pictures or people whispering on the internet. This news came right from the king himself. For the very first time in a very, very long time, the rules of being a king or queen have been changed to fit a new kind of family. Good evening to everyone in the beautiful town of Windsor and everywhere else. When we see a king being crowned, it is like the country is making a big promise. It is a way of saying that we all hope for a great future. Yesterday, when everyone walked into the giant, beautiful building called Westminster Abbey, it was more than just a fancy party with pretty clothes. It was a promise to help people. It was a promise to work hard for every single person in the United Kingdom, in the big group of countries called the Commonwealth, and all over the giant world. The king said he is ready to work for all of you with his whole heart. But while he was saying those words, something very wild and very amazing was happening behind the scenes in the royal family. It was not the kind of drama you see in movies. This was real life, and it was happening right inside the palace walls. For the first time in our modern history, Prince William has been given a very special job. He has been named a co-regent, and he is not doing it alone. Right there next to him is his wife, Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Both of them were named in a very important paper that was signed by King Charles. Even though the king has been feeling a bit weak and tired lately, he is still the boss, and he decided it was time for this huge change. This is not just a fancy new name or a badge to wear. This is history being made right before our eyes. It is a big shift in power that breaks rules that have stayed the same for hundreds and hundreds of years. Behind the cold, thick walls of the palace, people who worked there say that everyone was feeling very emotional. This was not just about boring politics or laws. This was personal. It was about a family. King Charles did not just give his son a big job because he had to. He did it because he trusts him with his whole heart. This was a king leaning on his family and choosing his own son to step up and lead the way with him. People who were in the room said it was not just a formal meeting where people sat still and stayed quiet. There were real tears. People were crying because they could see how much this meant. It was about a father showing his son that he believes in him. It was about a future king standing side by side with his wife to help the monarchy change and grow so it does not fall apart. They say that a look can tell you more than 1,000 words ever could. Lately, when King Charles and Prince William look at each other, you can see a very powerful story. Behind the big gates of the castle, things have changed. King Charles is still fighting a very scary sickness called cancer. He found out about it more than a year ago, and since then, William has been the one to help in ways that no one really expected. Charles has been leaning on his son more than ever before. People close to the family say the king is still getting medicine and treatment to help him get better. The palace tries to keep things quiet, but people on the inside tell us that it is a very emotional time. One day, when the family was together at a quiet place called Balmoral, Charles took William to the side to talk to him privately. What he said made everyone feel very shaky and surprised. He talked about how their shared sense of duty made them closer than ever. That was not just a king talking to a prince. That was a dad telling his son how proud he was of him. And Catherine was right there, too. She has been like a rock through all of this. While the royal family was dealing with a lot of scary and unsure times, she was the one who stayed strong and kept everyone from falling apart when things got stressful. Someone who knows them well even said she is the reason William stayed calm during all the chaos. As the king keeps fighting his illness, the news sometimes sounds good and sometimes sounds a bit sad. Because of this, the family is staying very close together. In July of the year 2025, King Charles surprised everyone with a very honest update about how he was doing. He was talking to someone else who had survived cancer, and he told them that he was feeling much better, even though he still had to get treatment. This was a big deal because just a few months earlier in March, he had to go to the hospital because he was feeling very weak. It was a moment that reminded everyone that even though he wears a crown, he is still a human being who is fighting to stay healthy. Because he was tired, the king started doing fewer big events. He wanted to focus on getting strong again, but this was not him giving up. It was a very smart plan. He was getting everything ready for the big announcement. He had been thinking about this for months. He had private talks and told everyone how important it was for the family to stay united and strong together. This was not about someone trying to take power or a sad gesture. It was Charles making the throne modern and new on his own terms while still being respectful to the old ways. There was one very emotional scene that really touched the people who saw it. During a private meeting, King Charles looked a bit tired but still very much like a leader. He reached out and put his hand on William's shoulder. It was a very quiet moment, but it said everything. It was like he was passing a torch to his son. You could have heard a tiny pin drop on the floor because it was so quiet. Even the people who work at the palace felt how heavy and important that moment was. Then the official news finally came out. In the middle of July 2025, Buckingham Palace told the whole world the truth. Prince William was officially named a regent. This means he has the power to rule for the king if the king is too sick to work. But the part that really shocked the world was that Catherine was named a co-regent right alongside him. Together, they now have the power to sign important laws, lead visits to other countries, and represent the king in every way. The official paper had a special stamp from a group called the Privy Council, and it changed royal traditions in a way that has never happened before. It called for the two of them to lead together because the monarchy is at a point where it needs to decide which way to go. But the biggest surprise of all was Catherine being named a co-regent. This is the very first time in modern history that a royal spouse has been given this much power right along with the person who is next in line for the throne. Think about that for a second. This is not just William being the boss. This is both of them being equal partners. People on the inside say that usually a regent is just one person working alone. But this is a brand new chapter. William is great at looking at the big picture and making plans. Catherine is the heart of the team. She is the one who stays calm and steady. Together, they are making up new rules for how to be royal. And the coolest part? This was not just a suggestion from the palace helpers. William was the one who really wanted this to happen. Someone close to them said that while they were writing the plan, William looked at Catherine and said that it was only right for them to face this together. That simple sentence made her very happy, and it made her a permanent part of history. This is not just some boring paperwork, everyone. This is a total transformation of the royal family. With just one move, the monarchy turned away from hundreds of years of only having one leader at a time. If you look back at history, like a long time ago in the 1800s, there was a time when a prince ruled for his father who was sick. Or even further back in the 1600s when a king and queen named William and Mary ruled together. But a prince and his wife sharing power like this, that has never happened before. We are in a place where no one has ever been. There are old laws about who can step in if a king is sick, but those laws never said anything about two people sharing the job. This move is breaking the mold like a hammer hitting a piece of clay. Usually, some helpers are allowed to step in for a little bit, but this is much bigger than that. Catherine's new job is not just for a short time. She actually has the power to say no to certain royal decisions. No royal wife has ever had that kind of power in this way. Historians are now looking at old books and trying to figure out what this means for the future. One expert said it reminds them of Prince Albert, who was the husband of Queen Victoria, but this time it goes even further. Catherine's power is not just behind the scenes. It is written down in black and white that she is an equal leader. So why did they do this now? People say it was not because they were hungry for power. It was because they had to do it. The people who give advice to King Charles were worried about what might happen if things got messy. They did not want there to be a time where no one knew who was in charge. So instead of waiting for something bad to happen, they acted fast. This new setup was the palace's way of staying one step ahead of any problems. Behind closed doors, the most powerful people in the country met in secret. King Charles, even while he was fighting his cancer, was very busy making sure everything was perfect. He wanted to make sure the crown stayed strong and that the plan would work even when things got tough. A group of very important people, like the Prime Minister and the leader of the church, looked at every single detail of the laws. But what really made it feel different was that King Charles put his whole heart into it. People who were there said there was one big meeting where the king spoke in a quiet but strong voice. He praised William and Catherine and said that their bond was the future of the whole monarchy. It was not just a formal talk, it was personal. This group of advisors suddenly had a very big job, and they used their power to rewrite the rules so the two of them could lead together. But not everyone liked the idea at first. Inside the palace, some people were worried. The people who like things to stay exactly the same argued that this move might make the prince look less powerful if he had to share. But Charles, even though he was sick, did not change his mind. And when the king speaks with that much purpose, people listen. One moment that surprised everyone was when Catherine stood up herself. She showed everyone a list of all the hard work she has done, especially with helping people with their mental health and helping young children. It was very impressive. She showed everyone that she had a modern way of leading. After she spoke, the mood changed. Everyone agreed that it was a good idea. They all voted yes, which is something that does not happen very often. It was a big win for working together instead of following old, dusty rules. Now everyone is talking about it. People who watched the royals noticed very quickly that William and Catherine seem more powerful. At a fancy dinner recently, the way they looked at each other showed how much they trust one another. They looked very confident. People who know them say it is not just about having power. It is about a family getting stronger when things are hard. By July 2025, most people in the country were very happy about the news. They liked that Catherine was included because it showed that men and women can be equal leaders. Of course, some people who really love old traditions were still whispering and worried about power fights, but inside the palace, everyone was celebrating. One helper said that after the news was told to the world, King Charles was smiling a lot at a family lunch. He even raised a glass to toast to this new beginning. William told someone that this new setup helps him be a better dad while also learning how to be a king. With Catherine by his side, he felt like he could finally do both jobs well. We should also remember that earlier this year, Catherine had her own health problems and had to get some very strong medicine. The way she got better and stayed strong was amazing. Her strength did not just help her family, it showed everyone that she was ready to be a leader. People say there were a lot of hugs and happy tears behind the scenes. For the family, this was not just about the law, it was about their lives. One expert said this change did not just update the rule book, it showed the heart of the royal family. Catherine is not just a wife anymore. She is a central voice in everything the crown does. Catherine has been working very hard in silence for a long time. She has been going to private meetings to learn about world politics and how to keep the country safe. She did not do it for the cameras or for the fame. She did it because she wanted to be ready to help. She does not care about wearing sparkly tiaras as much as she cares about doing things that matter. She wants to make a real change, especially for kids and for people's minds. Her Shaping Us campaign was not just a little project. It changed how people talk about kids all over the world. Think back to May 2025 at a big flower show. Catherine was there and she looked amazing, but it was not about her dress. It was about how she talked to everyone and how kind she was. There was even a rose named after her. That flower is like a symbol of how she has grown into her role. Even when she is just with her kids, she is very classy. She can turn a messy moment into a calm one with just a whisper. That quiet control is why she is so good at her new job. William knows this too. He said in an interview that their partnership is what makes everything work, from raising their 3 children to doing their royal duties. He said her kindness and her smart ideas are worth more than anything else during these big changes. One of the best parts about this new way of leading is how it is changing the whole family. Even with all the pressure of being famous, Catherine makes sure her kids stay normal. She makes sure they do their schoolwork and play games just like other kids. Prince George is 12 now, and he is slowly learning that he will be king one day. While the whole world is watching him, Catherine helps him stay grounded. She takes him to school and to his football games. Then there is Princess Charlotte, who is 10. She looks and acts a lot like her mom. In July 2025, she went to a big tennis match at Wimbledon with her mom, and they wore matching outfits. When Catherine walked out, the whole crowd stood up and cheered for a long time because they were so happy she was healthy again. Charlotte was smiling so big because she was proud of her mom. And we can't forget little Prince Louis, who is 7. He is full of energy and likes to giggle and play jokes. But Catherine knows exactly how to keep him calm. At another tennis match, Louis got a little bit nervous, and Catherine just leaned down and said something soft to him, and he started smiling again. She does not use mean rules or old-fashioned ways to parent. She uses love and understanding. She is raising future leaders to be strong in their hearts while the whole world watches them. People who work in the palace have said for years that Catherine is very disciplined. Since she got sick and then got better, she is even more focused. She is showing everyone what she will be like when she is the queen one day. She cares most about her family, her work, and using her power for good. People say she is the one who is bringing the royal family into the modern world. She uses the internet and video calls to talk to people, and she makes everything feel more human and less stiff. Now that she is a co-regent, she can help make big decisions. She can help with charities she loves and even talk about big problems like the weather and keeping the earth healthy. William trusts her completely. There is no doubt in his mind. It is like a quiet revolution that has been happening for years, ever since she was a college student. Her return to her royal work in 2025 was a huge success. Whether she was at a parade or a fancy ceremony, she looked like a leader who was already doing the work. Behind the scenes, the feelings are very real. People say that after the announcement, Catherine was so thankful that she cried while talking to William. She thought about how far she has come, from being a shy girl to a woman who beat cancer and now leads a kingdom. She is the rock that holds the family together. One person in the palace said she does everything with grace and heart. She is proof that you do not need a crown to have real power. Power comes from working together and having a purpose. With William and Catherine leading the ship while King Charles gets better, the royal family is not just surviving. It is changing into something better. They are building a future that is smarter and more real. They are working behind the scenes to make the monarchy fit today's world. William wants to make the royal family smaller and more focused on things that actually help people. He wants fewer fancy parties and more hard work. When he has his own coronation one day, it probably won't be a giant, expensive show. It will be a ceremony that is simple and meaningful. There is even talk that he might not live in Buckingham Palace all the time. He wants to turn it into a place where regular people can go and feel connected to the crown. The goal is simple: make it matter. Catherine is working on helping families, and William is working on saving the planet with his Earthshot prize. This pair is building something that young people can actually look up to. Catherine's Shaping Us project is her biggest passion. Now that she has more power, she is going to make it even bigger. This is not just for show. She wants to change how the whole country treats little kids. Her foundation is already doing great things, like giving mental health tools to preschools. She wants to build a system where every kid, no matter who they are, can get help. She wrote a letter saying she's going to work on this for her whole life. And now that she has her new powers, she might even be able to help make new laws for the country to help kids. This new setup is a blessing for everyone. Because William and Catherine are sharing the work, King Charles has time to rest and get healthy. As of July 2025, he is feeling much stronger. This was exactly what he needed. There are even whispers that some of the younger royals might start helping out with fresh ideas. William is building a very focused team to keep everything moving forward. Some people say a few other family members might come back to help with special jobs, too. It is all about finding a balance between the old ways and the new ways. But do not worry, this is not a scary revolution. It is just a slow, smart change. Every move they make is carefully planned. And you know who is watching: Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. This new way of leading is becoming their example. They are learning what it looks like for a mom and a dad to be equal partners. They are not just learning how to wave from a balcony. They are learning how to be real leaders. One person in the palace said it is about giving the next generation choices instead of just telling them what to do. This might make it much easier when William becomes king one day. It is making the royal family feel more human and more like us. And at the center of it all is King Charles, who trusted his family enough to make this big move while he was still getting better. It shows that his greatest legacy is not just being a king, but being a father who trusts his children. What do you think about this big royal change? Do you think it was a good idea to let Catherine share the power? It is a very exciting time to watch what happens next. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you don't miss any more stories about the royal family and their big journey into the future. It is a story about a family staying strong together, no matter what happens. Together, they are making history, one step at a time, with lots of love and a very big plan for the future.